Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at, it's finally here, Battletech Gothic. This one was, like, again, not on my 2025 bingo card, but like with most of 2025, I continue to live in a constant shell-shocked state of awe at the things that are happening. So, what is this? This is a Battletech Continuum game. Now, if you know what Battletech is, it is a 40-year now tabletop war game, hex-based sort of grid map system, and it's accompanied by a mass combat version called Alpha Strike. It's recently, in the last 5 to 10 years, had a renaissance, brand new plastic mechs, a couple of $1 million crowd funds, and the current stewards of the property, Catalyst Game Labs, have been going kind of from success to success. Their most recent Kickstarter called Mercenaries added tanks and all kinds of self-propelled guns and VTOLs and stuff to the game, as well as things called support assets, which are sort of like your non-conventional, non-battle mech troops. So if you're not aware of what Battletech is, well, I'm not going to educate you on that. There are 7 million different websites, wikis, and YouTube channels going through the whole history of that. But we're going to focus today on this, Battletech Gothic and the Continuum game series. So the Continuum game series is a new idea and a new launch after 40 years for Catalyst and the Battletech sort of like team. And the idea is reimagining their universe in different ways. This is the first one. It's grim, it's dark. Obviously, it has some Venn diagram overlap with a super popular war game. In sort of like its tone and style, but is firmly rooted in the world of Battletech and takes inspiration from a variety of different places. Now this review is going to focus on the thing in my hands right here, the box set itself, the product design of the product. I'm going to do a separate review for the miniatures so you guys can see them up close and get like a little idea of some of the customization you can do with the models in this box. And then the last one, we're going to talk a little bit about the background for the game and what it is. So if I'm a little light on the first two things, the rules in the background, you know, the idea here is we're trying to get to grips with what do you get for 99 bucks US, because that's the MSRP on this. We're probably talking like $1.25, 125 Canadian, 130 Canadian. And then yeah, do your own personal conversion elsewhere, because I only have the one MSRP on the box, but 100 bucks. And it's a game in a box. So it has 2 lances of Gothic battle mechs. And these are all in the same hard plastic we've come to expect from Catalyst, and have a kind of new attribute here that's probably worth talking about. So we're gonna crack the box here and talk about what's in here. Now, the thing that we should note it, and you'll see this in a separate video, is we have a bag of actual customization parts and a buildable atlas. Now the atlas is typically the poster child. It's kind of on the icons for Battletech typically, and MechWarrior 2. And we've got a variety of different heads for all the different factions in the box that come in here. So we're gonna go a little bit more in detail about these later. But basically, if you're one of the main realms, you can customize this mech with separate pieces, and we'll do that in another video. So that's our atlas. We have a urban mech, a phoenix hawk, a king crab, a marauder, a scorpion, a rifleman, and I believe this is a firefly. That's our 8 mechs. Now, lance of mechs is 4 mechs typically, and those lances are able to be pitted against each other, but there's 3 scenarios in here. They use them both against each other and as a mix. So you can play through the 3 different missions that kind of state the rules. We get some dice, because every Battletech box comes with some cool dice. A nice little handy storage thing. So if you're not a painter or a hobbyist or a modeler and you want to get into Battletech, you can keep everything back in this box. It all fits in quite nicely. Now, if you have the Mercenaries Kickstarter, we get support asset cards for all of the abominations. Now, these are a new design thing for this rule set, which we'll focus on a little bit in a separate thing, but if you have the Mercenaries Kickstarter box and you understand what support asset is, these are basically like little subunits that you can attach to your lances to give them additional options. And never fear, if you're an Alpha Strike fan, you get Alpha Strike rules for both the abominations and the mechs in here. So all of the mechs get their own special double-sided, fully like dry erase marker capable, so they're all laminated cards. So we get the urban mech, the Firestarter. Did I say Firefly? I said Firefly, didn't I? It's Firestarter. Twisted Firestarter. Phoenix Hawk, Scorpion, Rifleman, Marauder, and Atlas. And we get 2 different variants for each one. Once again, I'll go through that when we get into the rules. And we get cards for all the abominations. So the abomination rules in Alpha Strike, and then everything from the single piece or single squad abominations, which is one guy per hex, to the doubles, which is the Troll Kings, the triples, which is the Rampagers, and the crickets, Werebeasts, and the Frayed Mech Warrior, who can get out of his battle mech, and the Gnats, which are 6 to a stand. And we get some character cards. If you've played before, these are all Mech Warriors of Legend. They typically have to do with, a lot of them very often with people that supported the crowdfund or the Kickstarter. And they'll give you some background and detail for the characters in here. We get a bunch of huge books, and these are worth talking about separately. So we have a Universe Primer book. This is huge. I'm going to do a separate video over the next coming weeks with all of the sort of like main storyline points of Battletech Gothic. But the basic premise is that there's a new technology introduced, which is grafting, which is creating giant sort of like genetic abominations out of the various different weird sort of like creatures that are discovered during human expansion, and also sticking guns and weapons on them. And in response to grafting, that's how the House Cameron basically starts developing battle mechs to fight back against them. So the periphery, the kind of space pirates out away from the Terran hegemony, which is in the center of the galaxy, well, center of the galaxy, the human center of civilization, start developing abominations. And in response, the Terran hegemony makes battle mechs to try and fight them. And that's kind of where this universe starts to diverge from the sort of accepted and long-standing 40-year Battletech universe. That's where Battletech Gothic kind of sets off. We're in the year 3015 in this universe, and it is endless war. Yeah, Kerensky hasn't come back. We're just fighting and fighting and fighting. And then we have this rulebook. And this is a full rulebook. You do not need anything outside of the contents of this box to play Battletech Gothic, and it's fully compatible with all the mech data sheets from that time period if you want to add them in. There's no rules here, right, for when and how, so you don't have to worry about anything else. You can just use battle mechs that you want to have in-game, and they provide you with a ton of assets. Now, the additional rules in here, which we'll go through when we take a look at the rulebook, is the abomination rules and how they interact on the table. I was really excited to see this. We get a decal sheet in here, depending on where you are regionally, decals or decals. And this is a Topps printed decal sheet with all of the Great Realms represented. So you have little faction symbols. There's just, I think, a total of 9 of them, but in different sizes and all in full color for you to put on your battle mechs. And this is enough for like several lances because they're in a ton of different sizes. And I was really excited to see that because that is a thing you would only do if you're going to paint your miniatures, and seeing the folks at Catalyst encourage miniature painting makes me happy at all times, because I do think that you get a lot more out of miniature games when your models are painted. And then we got as is tradition, beautiful matte. And this is like, here's the attention to detail stuff that I like about something like this. They've printed these in matte. These are all in gloss. I will say, as a person who's owned a great many of these softcover rulebooks in their lives, go get yourself some tape and tape the edges of these now. No matter where you live, they will start to fray. But if you put some tape on those, it's an old classic RPG trip. They will last you a lot longer. And we have 2 sides. So we have kind of a war-torn, ravaged battlescape here with the trench system, fighting against a variety of different sort of like terrain and different fortified levels. And then on the flip side, we have a cityscape. And this city includes buildings. So you can see here, there's some like rotundas and buildings and stuff. So this is a level 3 building, level 1 building, all in different sizes. There's some water features and stuff too that you could throw terrain on top of. So a nice sort of like themed mat set, which you typically get like another map in every single box from the guys at Catalyst, but it's cool to see one theme to this universe. We have a glossy poster of human space, which is nice, the human sphere. This is a eye-watering amount of information. Every single system's named on here. And we have the various Great Realms. So we have the House of the Blood Dragon, House of Blazing Light, the House of the Terrestrial Throne, the House of the Endless Dynasty, Unistar, which is the Comstar, Terra, and the House of Blood and Steel. And these all, of course, have analogs, Steiner, right? Like all the main factions are represented here in their sort of like new form. On the other side, we have a recognition guide for all the abominations: Stone Giants, Troll King, Ravagers, Colossus, Gnats, Werebeasts, Devils, and Crickets. And these are all, you know, all your favorite kind of like Doom bad guys. You're gonna get a bit of background, so a little novella here. This is The Endless War, Reclamation and Rise by Herbert A. Bies II. Bies II, I think. And this was the nicest thing I thought came in here. You're gonna get a fully laminated, full-size set of record sheets. I said the last couple times they did these, man, I would sure like to see these in full size for the full game, and they delivered. So these are laminated. Each one has 2 different classes on it. So this is the King Crab KGC000. This is the KGC0KP. 2 different classes, and they're all laminated. So you can use a dry erase marker on these and play to your heart's content. You get 2 sets of each. So no matter what you want to use, or if you get 2 sets of this box, you have enough to play with. You also get a set of blank and a set of fully filled out abomination sheets. So you can see here, these are the blank abomination sheets. So you can create your own abominations or use later ones that come out. And then you get the generic ones pre-filled in. And abominations are typically in different forms. So this is a 6, you get 6 per stand, 6 per hex here for the gnats. Werebeasts are 5, devils are 4, and they'll all take damage individually until they die and then fall off. Crickets, Rampagers, and then the other side you're gonna get your Tyrants, your Colossus, Troll King, Stone Giant, and Ravagers. And you can see the Ravagers are down to 1, they have a ton of hits. So, not as heavy as Battletechs, obviously, but worth having record sheets for. And because you can have multiple of them on the table, you have multiple record sheets as well. You get your quick reference sheet, which is always handy. These things are great. And they do include any additional things for some of the like slightly different rules for this, this setting. And we get our punch out cardstock. So now there are no miniatures for the abominations in here, but you get a if you want to use seconds of any of the mechs, you get a second mech in color. So you can see here the Rifleman, Phoenix Hawk, Firestarter, Marauder, Urban Mech, King Crab, Scorpion, and Atlas. So you get cardstock ones. And then we get all of the different abominations as counters. We get them killed on the other side. And then additional terrain to place. So we get some level 2, like little fences and walls, a little mech statue, some buildings, and then some chemical pits that actually have depth, so you can step into them as well. And that's it in the box. So what do we have here? Well, for $100, you have a complete game. The idea is that this thing will stand alone. I'll very often refer to something called the Christmas morning test. And the Christmas morning test is pretty much past here because all you have to do is fold out your mat and get right to your scenarios, and you can start playing. There is a training scenario here called Lucidia Monstra. It pits 3 different captured mech warriors. So in a Firestarter, an Urban Mech, and a Phoenix Hawk, having to fight themselves through waves of abominations. And it's basically designed to teach you the abomination rules. So this is laid out both for veteran Battletech players to kind of understand the differences in this world that they're playing in, or if you're just a completely brand new person to the Battletech universe and you're diving in with Gothic as like your variant that you want to play, it'll teach you the core rules of the game as well. And so for that, I mean, for $100, that is it's a lot of stuff. It's 8 miniatures. It's all the training to play, cardstock accessories to make it different. We get an additional way of playing with the Alpha Strike rules, and those are free online if you want to grab the Quick Start rules, so you can just start playing Alpha Strike as well if you want. And you get a hefty, I think this one is up to 100? 114-page rulebook. And the primer section, so if you had this all in one book, I'm pretty sure this would be like 150 pages. I think it's no, 72 pages. Look at 200 pages worth of rules and background in 2 separate books. I do like that they kept these 2 things separate though. It reminds me a little bit of the 2nd edition Warhammer 40,000 starter set where you had the rule book, the War Gear book, and then the Age of the Imperium, the Codex Imperialis is like 3 separate books. I rifled through those things endlessly, and so having them be separate means that when you're coming to play, you only need the one. But if you want to like read up in the background, you can read the other one. So product's well designed, miniatures great as always. It includes everything you need to play. This one's a pass from the Christmas morning test in my point of view. And yeah, and we'll take a closer look at the rules themselves and the background for the game in a separate video. So $100, Battletech Gothic. Is it going to be for every Battletech player? Probably not. Like, Battletech players are very, very like protective of the IP and their sort of like experience inside the Battletech universe. You've been playing a game for 40 years. You have a vision of what it is, right? Understandably, they love their hobby and their universe a great deal. Is this going to be for them? Probably, you know, for some of them, absolutely. It's fun. It's a different way of playing. It's a laugh. You know what I mean? It's kind of a goof, and I like seeing the, you know, designers doing new things. So I think this is a great idea. Is it going to be, you know, exciting for some new players? Probably. People love this grim and dark stuff. They like the like hopelessness of Doom and 40K and Trench Crusade and, you know, this like kind of metalocalypse look at the universe. And while Battletech is grim and dark, it's in a hard sci-fi way that doesn't have like the demons and the monsters and stuff like that. And I think that's going to appeal to some people. So if it brings in new players, great, because, you know, every hobby needs new people playing it to you know, replace the people that are getting older. And if it gives people who haven't played Battletech in a while an excuse to dust off miniatures and play, it's a one-box buy. And I believe they're also doing some whatchamacallit, the salvage boxes and stuff on top of it. So there'll be some additional little bits of content coming out later. Do they add more to it? I really hope they do miniatures for the abominations, because I think that would be the thing that seals the deal for me. I'm not super excited about playing with tokens and counters, although I will play through the 3 missions in this box after I paint my guys up, just to show it off and give it a go. But they don't have to. The game can stand alone as it is, and for most Battletech players who are historically, you know, fans of the game, over the miniature hobby, the cardboard stuff is perfectly valid and fine, and I'm sure they'll have a great time with it. So come back for your rules review as we pile through the rulebook, and a separate one for the universe primer. And those will be up today as well. But thanks for watching. This is Ash.